Are you a man looking for an intensive program to help you overcome your sexually addictive behaviors? Gateway to Freedom is your answer. Gateway to Freedom is a 3-day intensive workshop for men seeking to overcome sexually addictive behaviors. Whether married, single, or divorced, Gateway to Freedom will help men regain hope for a new life of purity and real contentment. The workshop is conducted by experts in the field of sexual addiction recovery. Your experts have over 35 years of combined experience. Read testimonials of workshop alumni at gatewaymen.com. Get all the info and register online at gatewaymen.com or call 1-800-49-PURITY.
Hi, my name is Jonathan, and I'm the founder of the Gateway to Freedom Workshop. I want to personally invite you to be part of our next workshop, coming up October 23rd through the 25th in Texas. So call us today at 1-800-49-PURITY or visit gatewaymen.com.
Welcome to Pure Sex Radio, training men, educating women. Are you ready to get real and start living each day in purity? This dynamic program is designed to educate, encourage, and equip listeners with the tools necessary for living a life of sexual purity. Pure Sex Radio brings you the best in mobile talk radio. Listen to real-life struggles, learn how to overcome lust, pornography, and sex addiction, and get serious about purity. Your hosts for Pure Sex Radio are Jonathan Doherty and Stephen Cervantes. Jonathan is the director of Be Broken Ministries and founder of the Gateway to Freedom Workshop for Men. Stephen is the founder of the Hope Counseling Center. Visit us online at puresexradio.com. And now, please welcome Jonathan and Stephen on Pure Sex Radio.
Good day, radio listeners. Welcome to this week's edition of the Pure Sex Radio broadcast. We're glad to have you here with us. My name is Jonathan. I'm here with Stephen. Stephen, how are you today?
I'm delighted. Thank you for asking.
Excellent. Well, before we get started today, I wanted to let the wives out there know about our wives coaching that we have here at the ministry. Gigi is our life coach that she does the coaching sessions. This is really just a helpful resource for wives who are going through the process of kind of what do you do after your husband's secret has come out and you're distraught, you're feeling very wobbly emotionally and in so many other ways, and how can you get some direction for the next season of life to be able to feel like you can get back to a place of stability and health? Well, our wives coaching can help you do that. It's a great service that we provide for women who are wanting to just get some direction and know what to do next. So if you'd like to learn more about our wives coaching, simply go to coaching.bebroken.com, or you can call us toll-free at 1-800-49-PURITY. Well, Stephen, this week, I guess we are going to be asking guys to wake up, huh? It's really interesting because it's really going to be a broadcast for men, but we're going to be talking all about women.
And we'll talk about both halves, because I think today's conversation is about men waking up to the reality. Men will say to themselves, a little porn isn't hurting anyone. I can do a little bit of this, and it'll be okay. And so there are porn's lies. Mm-hmm. And when you're in the porn camp, it wants to tell you lies. And what are porn's lies? It's no big deal. It's not hurting you. It's not hurting anyone else. Just a little is okay. But I love what Jonathan said, quoting C.S. Lewis, there's this compounding interest aspect to porn and deception and lying and distortion. And it starts by you buying the lies of porn, that a little is okay. It won't hurt anyone. It's not hurting you. It's just a little fun. There's nothing wrong with it, right? Now, are we talking about Eve and the serpent in the garden? You want to live forever? It's going to open your eyes. It's going to make you more. It's sin's lies, or we're customizing it to porn's lies.
Yeah, one of porn's lies is it'll spice up your relationship.
Oh,
it'll
yeah.
improve intimacy in your relationship.
Porn's lies. So it's time to wake up, gentlemen, and confront the impact of porn's lies, because it can end up in an addiction, a trapped place. What's the definition of addiction? Getting worse, tried to stop. It's got a negative impact on myself and those around me. Always found myself going for more, even when I saw it being self-destructive. So there's an increasing need for more and greater, and there's no place to rest, right, in an addiction. There's always this tolerance to go get more, with multiple attempts to quit, only finding yourself getting worse. And that's the big snowball of the lies and what's developing in a man's life.
Yeah, and I was just going to add, too, addiction is also one of those things where negative consequences no longer pose, they no longer cause a person to stop.
Wake up and have an insight, right?
Go talk to any guy that's in prison because of sexual crimes, and you'll meet a person that realized, hey, there was a certain point at which even the negative consequences did not deter me from
getting
behaviors.
worse. Wow, that's good. So that's the male side, and what we're hoping to do is have a wake up so that we can hear from a wife in a marriage when she experiences this moment of awakening. What happens in her life? This was an interesting thought that was shared with me once. I want you and I to explore this. She said, living with my husband and his habits, sexual habits, secrets, it feels a lot like emotional abuse in my life. He's doing a little porn. He's having a little fun over there. But it feels like an emotionally abusive relationship. How does that make any sense, Jonathan?
Well, I think it makes sense if you understand the healthy dynamic of a marriage relationship. If you think about it, especially from our Christian point of view, that the two shall become one flesh. This idea of oneness is the design for marriage. Well, if you think of oneness, there's not lines drawn between the two. I mean, even though there's still distinction of male and female, as far as the idea that you are one now means there's no secrets, there's no deception, there's no sense of brokenness in that. You are sharing life. Everything about your life is being shared, emotionally as well. And so if this guy then is now saying, I'm going to take a part of myself, I'm going to detach myself and go do these things in my mind and even with my body that are only meant for my relationship with my wife, then that is a form of emotional abuse, because for her, she's saying, wait a second, affection, attention, affirmation should be directed toward me from you, and yet you're directing it toward this other
So all
stuff.
that emotional component is missing,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what you're saying. And it was mine.
Or at least distorted or broken. It's not complete because he's divided in
Yes, but she's not getting it, is my point.
Right.
And she's going, I really feel neglected by you. So I'm going to sort of represent the wife a little bit. I feel neglected, and if we have any emotional moments, you know what they are? They're arguing. The greatest emotional moments we have is when you argue with me, and it's unhealthy emotional encounters. And the other thing you present to me a lot of is silence. I hate the silence. You know why I hate the silence with you? It's because I am an opportunity. I present you with an opportunity where you might know me, and you choose to not know me. And the silence is just opportunity screaming. Ask a question. learn something, get to know her. I'm a person, I have worth. Bring your attention to me and value me. But I'm neglected, and I get arguing or silence.
And this I think is where a man, he has made his lack of courage or his fear more important to him than the exploration of his wife. And the reason I put it that way is because for a man who has been distracted with pornography and been involved in pornography, we can be pretty certain that he has little emotional development, if any.
Because he has super sexual development.
He's
right?
an emotionally stunted person.
Right, yes.
So we know that it is a great fear of him to then turn to his wife and say, I'm going to move toward you in an emotionally invested way. But what he's done is he's saying, you know what, my fear and also my lust is more important than the courage it requires for me to break the silence, for me to step in. And so the reason I'm saying this is because I want the guys out there to hear this. Do you realize that when you are silent, when you are detached, when you are neglecting your wife in the very normal, natural, healthy needs that she has emotionally in the relationship, you are doing this kind of damage to her, emotionally abusing her. And I think I mean, we don't want to be flippant with this idea of emotional abuse, but I think this fits the model for emotional abuse.
Well, think about it. Think about if you had a child and all you did was yell at them and argue with them, or you ignored them and you neglected them, you didn't train them and talk to them, you didn't get to know them, you're the adult and you didn't teach them about life. You didn't touch them? Yeah. Except just in a non-honoring way. You might touch them in a sexual way or something. We're talking about adults now in a marriage. We're having like two parallel conversations here, because a husband might not honoring touch his wife with tender, loving touch. But then I'm slipping over to, as a child, we would call that kind of emotionally abusive. Nobody enjoys you, pursues you, invests in you. No, that's sort of abusive. And the wife would say, now back to the adult conversation, the wife would say, you had energy in the beginning. You pursued me. You acted like you wanted to know me. And that's all gone now. And I'm lonely. And I'm married and I'm lonely.
And I think one of the reasons that this hurts a wife so much, when she discovers that there's this man who's overly sexually developed and under emotionally developed, is that she begins to realize or believe that was his pursuit one-dimensional in our relationship.
What does that mean?
Was his pursuit simply sexual?
That's all you wanted? You just wanted a body? You didn't want my whole person? And I brought my whole person to you.
And that's why this hurts a wife so deeply, is because, a man brings the best he has to offer, which is this overdeveloped sexual being and this underdeveloped emotional being, but he fakes it enough on the romantic side to get her convinced that he's completely enamored with her whole being, and then when it comes to light that he doesn't know how to be invested emotionally, that's hurtful emotionally to this woman, because she's saying, I signed up for the whole package. Right. I want you to be able to bring, and when she discovers that even when he brings his whole self, he's so underdeveloped emotionally that he doesn't have what is necessary to offer to her in that regard, it's disappointing, it's discouraging. I mean, it's not hopeless, but still it's something it shocks her system, because she realizes what I thought is not what is reality. And that's pain.
Yeah, and let me take it a level deeper than that. Okay, I live a lonely life. Okay, you don't want to know me. Okay, I get it. You're distracted. But you know what sort of makes me crazy in the head? You're lying. You're lying. Where is truth? What is good and what can I count on? Where can I camp? Because when you lie to me, and you break trust, man, trust is a sacred thing.
Well, and trust is essential to any healthy relationship.
So let me give you one more. Then I wanted you to come back. You're lying to me, so I'm not sure what reality is. I had my trust in you, and you shattered my ability to trust you, and my hope is diminished. Now, would you respond, please? You're playing the role of the guy that bought the porn lies and thought,
right.
I can spend my life getting pornified and in the pornification process, and I can be Mr. Porn who eventually wakes up to attic. And she goes, hey, do you know you're lying? Mm-hmm. Do you know you're not trustworthy? Do you know you could shatter my hope?
And the lie that this guy believes is not necessarily directly tied to his porn, but the underlying lie that he begins to believe is that I can juggle all of this, and I can do it. Meaning I'm smart enough. I'm good enough. I mean, I've been doing this long enough. I can have all of my compartments, in their proper place, and therefore I can continue to have this life over here with all of my porn and all my lust. I can also continue to have this marriage here. I can continue to have this relationship with my kids. I can continue to have this work. And he falsely believes that he can juggle all of these things without them ever crashing together. And when, I don't say if, when they crash together, he has to face that reality and decide what is he going to do. Because the thing is you can't undo, or I should say this, you can't erase the lies that you've told. Now, there can be healing and redemption in terms of turning back to the truth, but you can't ever go back and say, no, I didn't tell that lie. A lie is a lie. I mean, when it's out there, it's.
But then this is interesting because aren't we saying, see, I'm sort of wrapping everything you said into porn lies, because porn would even say you can have a whole rich life and me too, right? And he tries it. I want to have a whole rich married life and a whole pornified life. I can have both. That's what porn says, right? Just a little add-on. But to have the porn life, you have to lie.
And that's what the problem is because if you want to have the rich married life, we know this. And by the way, this has nothing to do with Christianity at this point. We know that healthy relationships are built on trust. I mean, that's a human reality, that if you're going to have a healthy relationship, trust is essential. And we also know that trust is only secured by the truth. You cannot be lying and building trust at the same time. They're mutually exclusive. Because in order for you and I, Stephen, to build trust, I have to tell you the truth and you have to tell me the truth, no matter how painful it is. If we're going to trust each other, then it requires truth-telling.
And she also threw in hope there, right? Your lying has caused me to lose trust and lose hope. But would you also say the opposite is true? Where there's truth and there's trust, hope rises?
Absolutely, because think about it. If I and let's just use the example of you and me right here, because I mean, you can certainly apply this to marriage too. But if I know you, meaning you have told me who you are, you've not lied, you've told me the warts and all. I mean, you've shared with me hard information, difficult stuff, embarrassing things about your life. As that grows my trust in you, would that not also grow my hope in the relationship? Meaning, you know what? I've got hope that our friendship will last. I've got hope that good things can happen. I've got hope that when I seek your advice or your help in an area, that you can offer it. Because you've proven to me through telling the truth that you are trustworthy, and therefore I can have hope that good things will come of my friendship. Apply that to marriage. If you are telling each other the truth, the same can happen. Trust grows, and out of trust, then you say, I have hope for our relationship. I have hope for our children, which that's another generational thing. It's like, what we are able to establish in this marriage can pour into the next generation through our kids because we're modeling for them what a healthy relationship looks like. So I can have hope not only for our relationship, but for our children to be able to grow up into truth tellers as well.
But here's this wife coming back again because of the porn life and lies. And now one day you wear the label of an addict because of so many lies, and you're dancing with the dark side and all the lies and bonding yourself to it. You win the ultimate title of the lies, addiction, because that's the end where the cage closes, slams shut, and you're in, right? After 1,000 lies, you're an addict. She says, the reality is, my first response is that I've become very somber and sober and realistic. The dreamer has gone. And I even asked myself, can I find happiness again? Mm-hmm. Because I'm in a marriage full of lies, small emotional man, won the title of addiction, but lost trust and hope, and my happiness is low.
Well, and that's exactly what we see in the opposite of what we were just talking about. If you're telling the truth, that builds trust, which leads to hope. If you are telling lies, that breaks trust, which leads to despair.
Ooh, that's good. You sounded smart.
So what this lady is experiencing is despair, because she's saying, you know what, I used to be a dreamer. I used to have hope.
Yes.
And now, because I realize trust is broken because you've been lying, then I'm in a state of despair right now.
Yeah, and if you were a little struggler that I could shake and wake up, okay. Maybe you could shake me and wake me up, and we could help each other. But when I realize you're married to porn,
it's bigger than just a little struggler.
It's not a little struggler. It's like I have to reset my whole system now to live with you, not think I could help you, because the truth is I tried to help you. I tried to make you happy. I tried to be more. I poured myself out, and I couldn't rescue you from your own addiction.
And I think I think something that's happening here is when she says, somber. I feel a sense of depression that comes over a woman in this state. When you think about it, okay, so we've said that when a husband is immersed, or I like the way you put it, married to porn, and we know that porn's foundation is lies, right? So there's porn's lies, and he's married to a liar in porn, then what's going to ultimately occur? She's going to be emotionally abused in that relationship by virtue of him being married to porn. He is going to be lying to her, because what language is he speaking? The language of his mistress, porn. He's going to be lying to his wife, which then is going to break trust, which leads her to despair. And what do we know typically about a person who is in a place of despair? It's very likely they are also depressed.
Right.
And so, I wanted to kind of put that in a framework there, mainly for the husbands out there to hear.
Yes. Wake up, men. Porn is lying to you. Divorce porn today so that you could live. You could live well with a female. This whole idea that you have bonded yourself to distortion and lies, you're not going to ever be free. You're not going to have whole life, free life, good life. So the call today is to wake up, to see the lies, to recognize the path you're on. And I'll just tell you, sometimes we come up with strategies to help a guy in the moment, right? And so let me introduce a little bit of a strategy, if I could, right now, because you got to do some self-talk. And right in the middle of a moment when a lie comes up, you've got to pray for wisdom, but you got to do some self-talk. And sometimes it goes like this. You know where this goes, don't you? Mm-hmm. You know how this ends, don't you? This is porn lies. This is your porn relationship. This ends up with a small-hearted man and a weakened marriage. And so I just say the first thing, you know where this goes. So when you get triggered, you say immediately, "Oh, I know where this goes. I know where this goes," because the deceiver woven into us sexually wants to whisper again, "Go play with a little. Remember, a little won't hurt you. A little is okay. A little is not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Go play."
And I would say that I've kind of gotten to the point in my life now, and I think you and I have talked about this a little bit, where I almost chuckle, and I don't mean this in a trite way or in a disrespectful way, but I almost chuckle when some of the temptations come nowadays because of this kind of self-talk that I've had over the years in my life, to the point where I will say, "I know what you're doing," and I will talk to the temptation like it's what we're talking about here. We've almost made like porn's lies an entity, right?
Yes.
And I think of it that way, and of course I know that the father of lies is Satan. So a lot of times I will think of it in those terms and be like, "I know what you're doing here. I know exactly what you're doing."
But you don't understand how powerful this is when you sort of engage all your spirit and all your resources to fight the lie, right? Mm-hmm. When you say, "I know what you're doing," or as I said, "I know where this goes," right? Or "I don't want to," right? That says to our spirit being, spirit to the front, right? Resources to the front, truth to the front, honest, open integrity, skill building to the front, all resources to the front. The liar has shown up.
And if you and it's sad, a lot of men think that if I ignore temptation, it'll go away. If you ignore temptation, you've pretty much already given in. You got to face it. You've got to
speak
actually
to it and call it down, right? And call it for what it is.
Now, on the flip side of this, we've got a wife here who is damaged. She's hurt. She's wounded, and I think in a similar way, there's a strategy that she needs regarding self-talk as well.
Oh, that's good. That's excellent. Yes,
because I think there are some healthy things. In the same way, it's healthy for a man who's been married to this mistress of porn,
yes,
to start having healthy self-talk and saying, "Wait a second, I know what you're doing. I know what these are lies," and he goes down a different path because he's got self-talk. I think a woman who's hurt and who feels desperate and in despair and broken, I think when she's having those waves of depression coming over her, I think there's, as much as she can muster, a healthy self-talk that she needs to have as well. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. You want some ideas, or do you have some ready to roll?
Go for it.
No, what I would say, I'll say the same thing that I said when my wife died. It was very traumatic to lose someone. What I tell myself over and over, God is God, and good is good, and truth is truth. No matter what comes at me any day, no what emotion comes at me, what distress comes at me, what do I know? God is still God, and good is still good, and truth is still truth. And I'm a son of the King, and even though I'm in a storm, I know some things will not change in life or in death or in sexual unfaithfulness.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Well, I would say pretty much the same thing, because I think what if you think about where this particular woman's depression comes from, it comes from what? The lies that have broken trust, that have led to despair. Mm-hmm. And so if her self-talk can bring her back to the truth. Yes. What is true? I'm a daughter of the King.
That's it.
My worth and my value is in Him. He has declared me worth dying for. I am in Him. I have great value, eternal value. He is good.
Yes.
He's still God. Truth is still truth. And
yes. And I would also say, whatever you've done is unto the Lord. Wife, whatever you've done, some women act like, well, it's worthless. It didn't count. It didn't matter. Oh, no. Every good thing you did was an offering to the Father and is in your account in heaven. Nothing that you did was a lie or worthless or, a waste of time. Oh, no. Doing good is always good.
Well, we hope this has been helpful to you, wives and husbands out there. If you would like any more help in your journey of healing and growth, please contact us. And we look forward to having you back here again next week on the Pure Sex Radio broadcast.
Pure Sex Radio is paid for by Be Broken Ministries. Visit us online at puresexradio.com.